The drama surrounding Anthony Dirrell and Denis Douglin had been brewing long before the opening bell ever rang. By the time the two American fighters stepped through the ropes, the tension was already impossible to ignore. The heated exchanges during fight week, the confrontations at the press conference, and the visible hostility during the final face-off had transformed this matchup from a simple boxing contest into a personal battle. Neither man seemed interested in hiding his feelings. They shoved each other, exchanged words, and carried genuine animosity into the ring. What started as a scheduled 10-round bout suddenly felt like something much bigger, a clash of pride, reputation, and unfinished business. As the introductions echoed throughout the arena, the contrast between the two fighters became clear. Denis "Mama's Boy" Douglin entered with a respectable record and a reputation for toughness, a rugged competitor who never backed away from a fight. Across from him stood Anthony "The Dog" Dirrell, a former world champion with elite-level experience and devastating punching power. Dirrell had shared the ring with some of the sport's biggest names and knew exactly what victory could mean at this stage of his career. For him, this wasn't simply another opponent. It was an opportunity to remind everyone why he remained one of boxing's most dangerous veterans. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as the referee delivered his final instructions. The fighters touched gloves, though there was little sincerity behind the gesture. Respect would have to wait until after the battle. The bell sounded, and immediately the tension exploded into action. Dirrell wasted no time establishing his intentions. From the opening moments, he stalked forward with purpose, looking to impose his power. Every movement suggested aggression. Every punch carried bad intentions. Douglin, however, refused to be intimidated. Instead of retreating, he stepped into the danger, attempting to close the distance and make the fight uncomfortable. The first significant exchange arrived quickly. Dirrell unleashed a massive shot that instantly captured everyone's attention. It was the type of punch capable of changing a fight in an instant. Douglin felt the impact and instinctively moved to tie up, attempting to slow the momentum and regain his bearings. Around ringside, commentators recognized what had just happened. Dirrell had found success early, and he could sense vulnerability. The predator had detected weakness. As the round continued, Dirrell swung with frightening force. He wasn't throwing casual punches, he was launching fight-ending missiles. Every right hand and hook seemed designed to separate Douglin from consciousness. Yet despite absorbing heavy shots, Douglin continued moving forward. His resilience became immediately apparent. When the opening round finally ended, it was Dirrell who appeared to hold the advantage. The crowd buzzed with excitement after witnessing his explosive offense. Replays highlighted a crushing right hook that had nearly altered the trajectory of the fight. Douglin survived, but survival alone would not be enough if the same pattern continued. Entering the second round, the tactical battle began to reveal itself. Douglin understood that a technical boxing match favored the more accomplished Dirrell. If he wanted success, he needed chaos. He needed roughness. He needed discomfort. Every clinch, every shove, every awkward exchange worked toward that objective. Rather than allowing Dirrell to settle into rhythm, Douglin attempted to drag him into a grinding street fight disguised as a boxing match. Dirrell recognized the strategy almost immediately. Instead of chasing a knockout recklessly, he began adjusting. The veteran understood that loading up on every punch could play directly into Douglin's hands. His corner and observers encouraged patience. Singles and doubles rather than constant home run swings. Controlled aggression rather than emotional aggression. Still, controlling aggression becomes difficult when genuine dislike exists between opponents. As the rounds progressed, both fighters found themselves repeatedly battling along the ropes. They exchanged punches in close quarters, wrestled for position, and traded words between combinations. The contest increasingly resembled a war of wills rather than a pure boxing exhibition. Douglin's style remained relentless. He worked from awkward angles, threw short punches on the inside, and disrupted Dirrell whenever possible. He understood that frustrating a superior boxer could create opportunities. If he could force Dirrell into losing focus, perhaps the fight would shift in his favor. But there was a problem. Every time Dirrell landed cleanly, the difference in power became obvious. A sharp hook here, a crushing right hand there. Each successful connection visibly affected Douglin. Even when he absorbed the punches without immediately retreating, the damage accumulated. The pressure mounted. The physical toll grew heavier. By the middle rounds, Dirrell appeared increasingly confident. He had tested Douglin's chin and discovered that while his opponent was durable, he was not invincible. That realization changed everything. Now Dirrell began walking forward with greater authority. The confidence in his body language was unmistakable. He no longer seemed concerned about what Douglin might throw back. Instead, he focused on breaking his opponent down piece by piece. The former champion stalked his prey around the ring, cutting off escape routes and forcing exchanges. Whenever Douglin attempted to create momentum, Dirrell responded with something harder. Whenever Douglin tried to rough him up, Dirrell welcomed the confrontation. The crowd sensed the momentum shifting. At one point, a powerful sequence from Dirrell left Douglin visibly shaken near the ropes. Moments later, another crushing hook found its target. Douglin remained standing, but the signs of wear were becoming impossible to ignore. His reactions slowed. His movements became more labored. The pressure never stopped coming. Observers noted that Dirrell possessed the ability to hurt Douglin whenever he truly committed to his punches. The challenge wasn't generating power, it was setting up the opportunities properly. Against a stubborn opponent who refused to stop fighting, patience remained essential. Yet patience did not mean mercy. Dirrell continued advancing relentlessly. The psychological component of the fight became increasingly important. Douglin's aggressive style depended upon confidence and persistence. However, facing an opponent who continuously marched forward while landing damaging punches can drain even the strongest fighter mentally. That appeared to be exactly what was happening. Dirrell's pressure wasn't merely physical. It was emotional warfare. Every step forward communicated the same message: I'm not going anywhere. Every successful punch reinforced the reality that Douglin faced a man determined to dominate. The verbal exchanges between rounds and during clinches only intensified the atmosphere. Both fighters continued talking throughout the contest, refusing to surrender even an inch psychologically. Neither wanted the other to believe they were gaining control. But control increasingly belonged to Dirrell. Round after round, he pressed the action. He attacked the body. He attacked the head. He forced Douglin to work constantly. The pressure resembled waves crashing against a shoreline, continuous, relentless, impossible to ignore. Commentators described the process as a gradual breakdown. Not merely physical damage, but mental erosion. The constant forward movement. The constant threat. The constant punishment. It was exhausting. For Douglin, every second required concentration. Every exchange carried danger. Every mistake risked disaster. Yet credit belonged to him for refusing to fold. Many fighters would have sought safety. Many would have accepted survival mode. Douglin continued fighting back. He threw punches in the trenches. He challenged Dirrell inside. He attempted to disrupt the rhythm and create opportunities. Unfortunately for him, Dirrell seemed increasingly comfortable in the chaos. The nickname "the Dog" suddenly made perfect sense. Dirrell appeared to enjoy the battle. He welcomed close-range exchanges. He embraced physical confrontation. Rather than avoiding rough moments, he thrived within them. The harder the fight became, the more determined he looked. As the contest moved deeper, tensions finally spilled beyond the normal boundaries of competition. Shoves became more frequent. Clinches became more aggressive. Frustrations surfaced. At one stage, an exchange resulted in a controversial point deduction. Many observers questioned the referee's decision, arguing that similar behavior had occurred from both fighters throughout the contest. The ruling injected additional drama into an already emotional affair. But even that controversy couldn't overshadow the larger story unfolding inside the ropes. Dirrell remained in command. His power continued making the difference. His pressure continued dictating the pace. His confidence continued growing. Then, just as it seemed the fight was building toward a dramatic conclusion, everything changed in an instant. A clash occurred. Not a punch. Not a knockdown. An accidental headbutt. The collision opened a serious cut near Dirrell's eye. Immediately, concern spread throughout the arena. Medical personnel examined the damage while Dirrell attempted to blink away the blood and regain clear vision. The severity of the injury quickly became apparent. This wasn't a superficial wound. The location near the eye created significant concern regarding visibility and safety. Suddenly, all momentum disappeared. The crowd waited anxiously. The fighters stood in uncertainty. Officials conferred. And then the verdict arrived. Dirrell could not continue. The accidental headbutt had brought the contest to an abrupt halt. After everything, the hostility, the pressure, the exchanges, the momentum, the fight would not end through a knockout.